do you pay a debt for someone you owe 36 million? You don't. It might as well be a gajillion. Oh, this is what you do. You charge the one you owe with murder. The debt goes to. Now first, you gotta have a body. I don't know how you get it, but I know it is nutty. Find the car that body drove. Park the car in the yard. Throw the body in the stove.
Hello, everybody.
Now this part, overemphasize I can. You
Got to have a law enforcement that likes to plan. Oh, I mean, not my knee.
Talking bones, but bullets, a car and a key. How do you pay a bill for someone you owe 36 million? You don't. It might as well be a gajillion. Oh, this is what you do. You try to
Linda.
You owe with murder. The debt goes to.
What's up, Jamie?
Now you cook that body up, all well done. Just leave some
Pieces out for identification.
like the tibia.
Exit 2308. Some of you ain't following me.
But this brings me to the important part of the scheme. You got to own the lab and forensics team.
Hi, Martha.
The dollar's knife, get her to deviate
The protocol, first time in her life.
How do you pay a bill for someone you owe 36 million? You don't. It might as well be a gajillion.
Oh, this is what you do. You charge the one you owe with murder. The debt goes to.
Now I can't go into detail. It would take too long. This would end up being a 10-part.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I hope so.
Just give it to you. Do all these things and you can do your horn. You first have to get a kid to confess to the story you feed them. Block all the officers from following evidence.
Good evening, Linda.
Tell the media things that don't make
sense. Don't worry. There's questions, they just nod their heads.
You gotta lock the corner from the scene. You got to beware now, dogs that lose all the cameras.
Oh, I'm glad you feel special when I say your name, Martha.
Multi-label everything you gotta keep all the evidence locked up safe.
Hi, Lisa.
If anything gets broken,
Fix it with scotch tape.
And repeat. The bolts are intertwined, the wires from the tires.
Oh, repeat that lie.
Do you pay a bill for someone you owe 36 million? You don't. It might as well be a gajillion. Oh, this is what you do. You charge the
One you owe with murder. The debt goes to.
Now say you get away with all that stuff, but 10 years later if you just don't have enough, go write a book.
Plus, you gave away the poems.
Don't worry about the ethics.
Stacy didn't know that when he wrote this song, though.
Until then, sued from all the domestic violence victims that you abuse. How do you pay
a debt for someone you owe 36 million? You don't. You might as well be a gajillion.
Oh, this is what you did. You framed an innocent man and his nephew kid.
Alrighty. Hello, folks. How you doing? How are we this fine Monday? Hello. There I am. So, it's crazy. So, I hopefully have gotten the whole passport situation squared away. They should have the document they shouldn't have given back to me by 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. So anyway, so hopefully that's in hand, and I'll be on my way to Australia very soon. So we're here today to talk about basically the nearest and dearest to me, and that is, Dassey, Avery, Davis. These are the cases to me. These were the three cases right now that have, engaged in my passion in a very, very huge way. I've talked about Scott Davis before. I know some of you know him. I know maybe some of you come in here to listen to me talk about Avery don't know what I'm talking about, because I do know that the Scott Davis videos don't get as much play as the Avery Dassey videos do. But, nevertheless, it's a case I'm passionate about. So, obviously, first off, we're going to talk about Avery. And here's why we're going to talk about Avery. I don't know how many videos I have to do about the bones. I've done multiple videos with Travis explaining the motion and this and that. I've done a couple of videos by myself explaining the bones and what's going on with the courts right now and the whole process and everything. And no matter how many multiple videos I do, I get somebody almost every day, daily, I get somebody that comes on to like the tutorial video I made about helping people get notifications and asking me, how come you're not talking about the bones? And I'm like having to go and get one of the 6 videos that I have that explain the bones, and I'm like posting it under that comment going, here you go, here's one of a few I have. So we're going to talk about it again. We're going to keep talking about it, and because somehow people maybe are missing some of these. So anyways, we're going to talk about it. So Avery, Zellner, the bones that were given back to the hall box. We're going to keep on pounding on it. So what's going on? I'm going to just kind of talk about it here. What is going on? There's 2 of them. One's in Melbourne and one's in Sydney. When it comes to the bones and what's gone down here is that, it's like I said, it's once again showing the state playing games, hiding things, just like we saw with the CD. Okay. Which is going to be interesting now, as I said many times, but I don't want to go too far into it right now. But the whole CD situation is now going to have a whole different spin, because the interpretation of Brady has now changed drastically. So that is likely to change on appeal. If the appeal ends up going forward and stuff, the appeals court is most likely going to end up saying, the burden's not on the defense and their due diligence. The burden is on the prosecution. So in this case, yes, they were holding it for 8 months, handed it over just before, Denny, when all the pretrial, everything's going on. So they're gonna probably look at that and say, yeah, the state was holding it back. So, but anyways, to move on from that, now we're moving to the second thing, where the Court of Appeals has now remanded it back to the circuit court again. Okay, let me just tell you one thing: it doesn't happen. It's an extremely rare occasion where an appeals court ends up remanding 2 things back to the circuit court for fact finding. Okay, it's not a very common occurrence at all. So now what's gone on with these bones? Hey, check it out, the truth train's here. Right on. Right on. So the thing that's going on with the bones, folks, is there's a statute in Wisconsin. I know a lot of you know this, but for those of you who don't, there's a statute in Wisconsin. It was written by Norm Gahn, oddly and kind of poetically justice enough. But anyway, Norm Gahn wrote, and it basically says that they are not the state or the, whoever, the state or the county or whoever, whatever agency holding in any evidence in a case of somebody who's in prison, who's been convicted and is in prison, they have to hold on to that evidence until that person leaves prison. Okay, whichever way that is. If they get out of prison because their conviction gets overturned, then at that case, at that time it can be destroyed. Or if when they pass away, they leave prison, then in that case, they can then get rid of the evidence. But That isn't what's happened here, and we all know that. Stephen Avery is still 100% alive. They gave away those bones back to the hall box, okay, knowing it was biological evidence, and gave it back to the hall box, and then proceeded to try and hide what they did. So not only did they violate statute, but then they went on to try and hide that they had violated statute, right? So the violation of statute is a problem. Okay, just on its own, the violation of the statute's a problem, right? But now when we see them playing these games and trying to hide it, and then Mark Williams ends up calling KZ, leaving a message for Fallon, and everything that's going on here, and they're holding back the final pages of CASO, which weren't handed over to Stephen's appellate attorneys at the time when they gave the bones back. Nobody ever asked his attorneys. Nobody ever asked Stephen. The state has flat out basically admitted now to Zellner that they have no record or proof of any or in any way to prove that they asked Stephen or his appellate attorneys if they could get rid of that, if they could get rid of those bones. So the state has no way to prove that. So basically they're hanging in the wind right now because they can't prove that they contacted Steve or his lawyers and they got rid of this evidence. And then there's the problem with them not handing over, not giving the updated ledgers and not giving the updated CASO reports to Stephen's appellate attorneys, which then is effectively hiding what they had done, which is a violation of Stephen's due process rights. Potentially. That's what this is what all needs to be decided in the evidentiary hearing, essentially. But because they were trying to hide it's two things. They violated statute, but then trying to hide that when they were trying to hide that was a second thing. One thing was just, violation of statute, whatever it might have, it would have obviously been had an effect, but the due process violation of them trying to hide what they did, the due process violation can trigger a retrial automatically for Stephen because it's a violation of due process. And when you have a violation of due process, if it's found that there is a violation of due process, it's automatic, new trial. All right, let's check out the comments here real quick. I know I get off on a rant sometimes, guys. Let's see. What bones? Yeah, what bones? Who knows? Is there bones? Is there bones in the Avery case? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm in an AA meeting, but for bones. All aboard, choo choo. Yep, the truth train. Don't they discuss this after the conviction is handed out, like a post-trial hearing where they discuss what's what in the evidence? Don't they discuss this after the conviction is handed out? Are you saying like if Dean and Jerry would have discussed giving the bones back with like Fallon gone and Kratz? I'm not sure what you mean, Russell. You have to, if you could maybe help me out there a little bit. I'm not sure what you're meaning exactly. We have our seats and mine is next to Stacy. Let's see. Fallon hit it at his own peril. Yes. His own peril. I love it. His own words coming back to haunt him. Not just hiding it. They were trying to get KZ to drop her appeal and work for the Bone Project. That's another thing. The appeals court did not. Thank you, Russell. The appeals court did not. They were not freaking amused by the state's suggestion that Avery should drop his current appeal and pursue this. The Court of Appeals did not. I could tell they were not amused. And when you see in their order that when they address that part, they're just like, you can imagine it's like a school marm, like shaking her head at him or something. I don't know. It's funny, but yeah, you could tell that the judge that wrote that order, man, was not amused. Hey, Linus made it. How you doing, Linus? Let's see. Hello, Sharon. How you doing? Denise, hello, Denise. See, I believe Rush is talking about the evidence that at the end of the trial, they all agreed to conserve the evidence for future testing. Okay, yeah, well, I know that Judge Willis did actually order that it all be kept and held and all that stuff for future testing. So I remember I specifically remember, I think that there was an order by Judge Willis, even. So yeah, I mean, they had no business getting rid of anything for any reason. I mean, I don't know. It's just not. It clearly shows that they did believe those were Teresa's bones. They did realize that the fact that they were scattered all over the quarry was an issue, and that maybe they didn't have the right narrative because there was not a freaking sign of any of the things that they claim happened anywhere in Avery's trailer or garage. It's not there. It isn't there. There's nothing there. Don't tell me you cleaned it up with bleach and whatever, dude. No. Idiot savant. Just remember from the intro to the motion for post-conviction relief. Idiot savant. Can you believe Stephen goes back from being an idiot to a savant? Just boom, 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 boom at a moment's notice, constantly going back and forth, being an idiot and then being a savant. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's, in what circumstances have bones or bodies been exhumed in other cases? I am not sure, but Travis has said that it can happen, that the family or of whoever it is, the victim in the case or whatever, can agree to do this, and then they can exhume it. I do know those of you who've watched The Staircase about Michael Peterson, they actually exhumed a body in Texas. South Carolina. This all happened in Durham, South Carolina, I believe it is. And then there was a death that was like from the late 1980s or whatever, that was close, that Michael had been around for. It was in Germany. Him and his wife were next door to the lady that died, and she had fallen down a staircase or whatever, right? So they ended up exhuming her body and brought that body over to Durham for the medical examiner to look at. So I guess it's not unheard of, but I don't know. We'll have to see how we have to see how the Hallbox play it. Really, it's going to be the Hallbox choice of whether or not they want to, dig them up. I mean, but just imagine that for a second. If you're the Hallbox and if you're agreeing to this, you're agreeing to dig up bones that you believe are your daughter's bones to be tested, right? Which may not be necessary, because if there is a violation of due process, it's all moot, really. But let's say that does happen. They're gonna give an okay to have the bones they already believe are Teresa's, because they wanted to put her at rest, which is something I can fully understand. It shouldn't have happened, but I can understand. But they would essentially be digging those up or getting those out of wherever they're being held. But the problem is by this point is contamination and all kinds of other things. So there's a lot of reasons why it may not be feasible. But just imagine what it must be like for them. If they hope that it would be a very odd situation if they hope that the testing comes out saying that they are Teresa's bones, so that they can rebury them and everything in respect for their daughter and their or sister, however related to Teresa, and they want to prove those bones are her. That's not really good for the state, and it's not really good for the case for the state, right? And if the bones come back and aren't Teresa, then they got to be like looking at the state going, what are you giving us? What is going on? You know what I mean? So you can imagine it would be a very strange, really strange situation for the Hallbox, even if they were to agree to this. Which outcome would they want to root for? You know what I mean? Like, I could imagine it just being a very conflicted. I mean, I just see it as being a messy thing, and yeah. Let's see. Been busy. Gotta say hi, you and the wrecking crew. Hey, crazy Airedale lady. Erekose, can you give a brief rundown on any new news I may have missed since the news spread that SA won the appeal? There's a petition going around right now, Linus, where they are trying to petition Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin, to remove Judge Suck as the judge for Stephen Avery. That's one thing that's happening right now. Let's see. Anything else? If, so long as I get my passport in time, I'm going to Australia later this month. Let me see. Other new news. Zellner will be filing her motion with the circuit court. I think it's on Friday. It's day 14, basically. So I think on Thursday or Friday, we'll be seeing a motion from Kathleen Zellner. Then we can talk about that on Friday. I don't know. That's kind of it for the moment. Hey, Travis. Boom, boom, boom. I love it. See, French detective accent. Z-man was too smart to leave the trace of the girl, but too stupid to crash the car. To crush the car. Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the idiot savant thing. Family can seek their own order to exhume. As well, there you go. There's Travis saying what I was saying. So they can do it. But as I was saying, it would be an awfully kind of awkward situation. What do you root for if you're the Hall box? Do you root for them to be Teresa's, which then proves that most likely the bones did not start in Stephen Avery's burn pit, which further calls the case into question? Or do you hope they come back as being not Teresa's bones, so that the case against Avery stays somewhat solid, sort of, kind of? So I mean, imagine it being in the Hall box position. Is all I'm just, you know what I mean? I don't know. Does anybody get what I'm saying here? Someone made a good point today on Rubber Ducky. Why would they need to know? Why would they need to throw her in the RAV4? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've been saying that for, yeah, absolutely. Why would that need to happen? We've been saying that for years. That's ridiculous that they would have needed to throw her in the back of RAV4. That's been, I don't talk about it so much nowadays, but I used to talk about that a lot. Let's see. Her name was Elizabeth Radcliffe. Yes, Sharon. Thank you. Elizabeth Radcliffe is the person that was exhumed in the Peterson case for the staircase. Her name was Elizabeth Radcliffe. Thank you, Sharon. I believe the family is allowed to refuse an exhuming of the bone. They can choose not to do it. That's just it. It really comes down to the Hall box. But then again, even if they give approval, there's still the potential of contamination, which would make them useless. There's going to be issues to overcome, even if that were to happen, in my mind. I'm sure, and if I'm wrong, Travis will correct me here, I'm sure. But can the family refusing prevent KZ from getting prosecution in trouble? No. The prosecution already gave them away, and they are most likely contaminated now. So it's really kind of a done deal. It could. I get the impression, listening to Travis, that if the Hall box were to jump up and go, okay, we're willing to exhume the bones or whatever, suddenly, if they were to just pop up and do that, then that might change the face of this. But like I said, the bones would have to get brought out of wherever they are, and then they would have to be examined and see if they've been contaminated since they've been taken out of official evidence storage, and if they've been, around other things and touched a lot of other things and whatever, it's, so there's a potential of contamination that it could have got at the mortuary where they were sent to, from the box that they may have, or the vessel that these bone fragments may have been put in at the mortuary, anywhere, in a number of ways that those bones could have also been contaminated at this point. So that's why there's so many things going on here. most likely it's really a done deal. The state screwed up. Wait, if the bones are not Teresa's, Stephen has it worse. Well, I don't know. I personally, I don't know if I really go along with that theory, because there was another body, a woman's body, found in the like Redont Quarry or Manitowoc gravel pit back in the, I believe, 80s or something like that. So I don't know. I personally, if they came back as being somebody else, but they're not. They're going to come back as Teresa's. So, like I said, I think the way I see it is just an awkward situation for the Hall box, no matter what. Yeah, Stephen may stay in prison, but then the family has to wonder why the state gave them random bones. Right. That would be right if they weren't Teresa, if they get tested and they aren't Teresa's. I mean, it's just like I said, it creates an awkward situation for the Hall box, no matter what, in my opinion. Someone said today, if Teresa was killed in the house or garage, why would they put her in the RAV? Exactly. The staircase attacked by an owl, I think not. Ziggy says handled. Okay. Did you see the new name I gave Manitowoc on the water tower? Someone helped me and got it done. It's so cool. Okay, let's see here. I don't know. I don't get how Avery hasn't been exonerated yet. Let's see. Even if Hallbox refused to cooperate, a court still could order an exhumation. The point is more that the point is more that this could cause a rift or a rift. The frags could have been cremated for all we know. And yeah, and if they were cremated even further, then they would certainly be pretty much useless. With these cops, they were probably contaminated before the family received them. In the logs, there was about 20 items found in the back of the RAV. No pics, of course. RAV4 Photoshop. That's my buddy Joe Burns. He does those videos. New name, Mana Avery to walk. Show the like button some love. That is Teresa. I feel it in my gut. Plus doggies don't lie. No, I think those bones are gonna be Teresa's. And since chain of custody on bones is trashed, isn't it? Between the state screwing themselves or screwing themselves royally. I mean, at this point, they're kind of caught with their pants down. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see this go down, really. Why would pics be a thing? I mean, cops wrote some stuff down, so yeah, funny Bella. I'll check it out. Joe shot. Okay. If I was the investigators, I would be looking into who was operating payloaders and dozers in MGP, trying to bury bones with them. Yeah. Well, they should have looked at a number of things that they never looked at. Remember the duffel bag that was supposedly in the RAV4 mysteriously disappeared? I've always wondered if that was proof TH did make it home. Is it Dr. Pepper time yet? I poured it as I was opening, as Stacy was playing. Riff equals schism. Hallbach family gets off bus, boards train. This has happened in many cases. Right. Okay, I see what you're saying, Trav. What happens to the law enforcement in King Kratz if bones come back as Carmen Boutwell's, I think you mean? And well, that would be pretty awkward for Manitowoc County, really, because they, for some reason, handled the cremation of Carmen Boutwell. So if any bones were to come back to Carmen Boutwell, that would look real bad for the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, because they handled that. So that would be bad for Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. Let's see, a little off subject, but where is the first place you're going to go with in a hit in Australia? Well, I'm gonna be hanging out with my good buddy Mark. So the first place we're going is basically we're gonna leave the airport and then we're gonna go to his place and then we're gonna kind of whatever check out his neighborhood. I think that's pretty much gonna be like the only day I'll have a chance to like run away and go see like supporters because it looks like Mr. Hodnott and the Havering Scotsman have pretty much just crowded all the other days up with activities, and I didn't even get a say in it. So, so it might be that first day will be my best chance to get around and see some people in Australia. But you guys will all be able to catch me in either one of the Knight Rider, Driz, and Rudolph shows. I'll be at both, so you can catch me there. Anyway. See, a little off subject, but where's the first? Okay, dude, I kept my pants on and only hit the like button. Geesh. Who told Steven to call Teresa back and take a pic of front loader? Was it Earl Charles? I'm not sure, Vanessa. I feel that turn coming any day now. Is there anything? Is there another case in the U.S. where genetic materials were treated this way? Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure other DA's offices or whatever, other attorney general offices or whatever have tried to pull this same thing. Sure. Nobody told me we had to wear pants to this one. Let's see. I am jealous of you meeting up with Paul and Mark. Well, I met up with Mark in Manitowoc last year. So bring me back some white chocolate Tim Tams, please. I'll send them with Capaldi. Let's see. Personally, I like Paul's name for Judge Angie best. What is it? Super Witch? I think he calls her Super Witch. Oh, such a witch? Okay. Super Witch, such a witch. Close enough. Let the Havering begin. Oh, well, you're lucky you're going to be going to them shows with Drizzen and Laura and Rudolph. I'm very keen to talk to Mr. Rudolph. If the state CB bones, that will be devastating for Stephen. It will probably charge him with that murder, and it implodes Casey's entire narrative. It would be back to square one. Well, I don't know. I get what Travis is saying, that they don't want to find another dead person there. The desired outcome for Stephen would be that they come back as Teresa's, which they're going to do. It's pretty much sure. But if they came back as Carmen Boutwell's, the question would be raised. Manitowoc County is the one that arranged the cremation for Carmen Boutwell and everything. And they're the ones that did that. So how there would be a need for somebody to explain how some of Carmen Boutwell's remains ended up in the Manitowoc County gravel pit. It would require explaining, seeing as Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department took charge of that with Carmen Boutwell. I don't know. Anyway, I get what you mean. I get what you mean, though, Trav. But it may be still be bad for Stephen, but it will still be bad for Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department because they were all over that. Their hands are all in that. Let's see. Angela suck at this. Yeah, a lot of people like that one. We need satellite images of Manitowoc from Halloween on the 5th. Was it cloudy those days? But how can they connect Carmen to Stephen? Travis, it's a spicy routine. A color judge stupid because a convicted murderer lives next door. I love the name for that name for her. Zoner gets KK up on the stand. I don't know what she would ask him, but my questions on it would be: so, Mr. Kratz, how much sweat do you believe it took to tell the sweaty fantasy to the press? Is what they will argue. I don't call her anything. I just groan. So I want to talk. Obviously, we'll talk more about Steven if you guys want and stuff, whatever. But I want to talk again about Brendan. I want to talk about AEDPA. What we did to ourselves as a country, by allowing AEDPA. I mean, we robbed ourselves of liberties. Okay, we robbed ourselves of liberties that were guaranteed rights by our Constitution because we were afraid. That's what it was. Fear because of the Oklahoma City bombing. And the politicians were all jumping on the bandwagon of, let's make him pay. Let's make sure that him and other people like him get the death penalty and can never, ever appeal their case and whatever. And unfortunately, to do that, we have to gut the entire habeas writ and rob all of you Americans of your habeas rights. But it's cool, right? As long as we kill this bad guy, right? It's just not right. It's things like this, AEDPA, other things. There's going to be other things that come up. We have to start looking at it and saying, no, we gotta be grown-ups, and we got to start trying to take care of some of these problems ourselves, trying to look out for problem people like Ted Kaczynski, and try to, sniff some of this stuff out for ourselves and be more self-reliant. We can't rely on, the government to take care of problems like this, because if they do, they try and do something like what they did with AEDPA, and it's not good. What they did was wrong. AEDPA is just wrong, and it was an attempt to change how our justice system works, to tip the scales, because we were angry. And we want certain people dead and fast, and we don't want them to be able to appeal either. We just want them dead and fast. You got to think about it. That's essentially what AEDPA is. We want them dead and we want it fast. And then on top of that, it robs all of us of our habeas rights. AEDPA. Yeah. This is something that I really don't understand, so I really don't know the details of this. This is the Charlie Barron's shirt. Oh, dude, this is the keep her moving. Keep her moving. Yeah. Doesn't have to worry about the kangaroos. It's more the drop bears worry about. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. There's been some big fires lately. Try Vegemite. Not trying Vegemite. The dogs went to all bone sites, and the bones didn't add up to more than one person, so it should be TH. And that is actually true. Truth Monster has a very good point. AEDPA info. There you go. Thank you, Denise. Some of us are working on the number that can come through. Teresa's phone. Alex Quadrini. Oh, yeah, Alex Quadrini. I did a video about that dude. He's a convicted murderer and got, yeah. Well, he, yeah. People still think like this. Okay. Lloyd, want to expand on that a little? Is that in return? Oh, in terms of the way that we thought about and the way we allowed AEDPA. Okay, gotcha, Lloyd. Yeah, certainly. Let's see. Travis Williamson, don't quote me on this as we are still looking into it, but if this is confirmed, it could be argued back. We don't have the right of referendum on federal laws. You have to convince Congress to go back and change it. Erekose and I did a video on it, who supported it, arguments against it, all in that video. Don't want people getting out on technicalities. Okay. Vanessa, could what be argued back? She's talking about the Alex Quadrini thing, a guy convicted of murder who called Teresa's phone on November 1st. Travis, you remember vid name? I must have missed that video. Inevitable exoneration. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's, AEDPA was just not was wrong. It really was. And it's just, we all, I mean, it's essentially prevented. Here's the thing that kills me about AEDPA. It has prevented the federal courts, pretty much prevented. I mean, they act like there's an opening in the AEDPA, but really, I don't think there is, because Brendan's case should have broke right through it, really, in my opinion. But anyway, the AEDPA has effectively made it impossible almost for the federal courts to intervene and correct something that the states have done. So the states basically know, oh yeah, we can do whatever we want. We don't have to worry because the federal government can't mess with us. So if we sail one across, we know we don't have to worry too much about a federal court overturning it because, AEDPA. All we got to do is walk into court and say AEDPA, just like they did with Brendan. Literally, most of what Luke Berg did was walk in and go AEDPA. I mean, repeated himself constantly, AEDPA, AEDPA. He didn't even have to argue. I mean, it's just like, or barely argue. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, dude, it just pisses me off. Anyway, Clinton was a big part of it. Yes. Yeah, I did a video on Alex Quadrini a while back. So then we move on to talk a little bit here about Scott Davis, right? Scott Davis is a case that is just outrageous to me. I mean, first of all, you got Scott and his wife at the time, Megan, going through a divorce. She has basically never been faithful at all during the marriage. She's been constantly seeing these other very, very wealthy men. Two of them were in New York. She was dating David Coffin, the victim in the case. She was dating him at the time. And, it's just, she was just, a very, very kind of unscrupulous person. She just was very much, it was all about what she wanted. She was very much about herself. And the thing is that in 1996, the end of 1996, on December 10th, the night of December 10th, David Coffin's house is found burning. The fire department and everybody responds or whatever, and all that. Well, later on that night, his body is found. David Coffin's body is found. And a fireman actually steps on him in the kitchen when they're going through after they get the flames out and stuff, and they're going through. and they find David's body. So they pick up Scott Davis because they found out that Megan was dating David Coffin and whatever. So they pick up Scott Davis and they start interrogating him. And at one point, Scott says, "Look, man, I didn't shoot him, and I didn't shoot him." And this immediately makes the lead detective go, "Whoa, wait a second. Whoa, I never said he was shot. I don't even know that he's shot. How do you know that?" And Scott tells the lead detective, he tells him, "Megan told me." Okay? So, lead detective walks out of the interrogation room, goes over and asks Megan, who lies about it, of course, right? Lies. Then he walks over to the victim's best friend, a guy named Craig Foster. And the lead detective asks him, "Did you hear Megan say something about, David being shot and whatever?" And the victim's friend Craig said, "Yeah, I did. I did hear her say something like that." But the lead detective goes right back into the room anyway and ignores it. And when you hear that lead detective talk about the case on crime shows and everything else, he still to this day talks about how Scott knowing that information that nobody else could know is what incriminated him, is what makes him guilty. Okay, nobody, even now it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, Megan is the one that passed that information to Scott, and they have the phone records to prove it now, and they even have one of Megan's friends who Megan called at the time and told her the same thing. They have that to back it up. It's undeniable that Megan knew that David had been shot in the head while his body was in a burning house. How could she know that while his body was in a burning house? That's the problem with this case. And so in 1997, the DA's office basically realizes, no, that we can't pursue this. This is an absolute mess. For whatever reason, because I think maybe because they realized it probably was Megan, and they maybe felt like they would have trouble getting a conviction. I don't know what they decided, or they didn't have enough evidence really, because they didn't have any against Scott. The blood that they had didn't match him. The fingerprints that they had didn't match Scott. So nothing matched Scott. Everything they had against Scott, it was a circumstantial case, completely and entirely circumstantial case. And so they had nothing against Scott. And Megan was the one that actually had the guilty knowledge and this case. And so what happens, it all gets dropped in 1997. Scott gets out of jail because they were holding him. And then he goes on with his life. He ends up moving to California. He actually tried to join the governor's race here back when Arnie won, back when Arnold Schwarzenegger won. He was actually trying to run in that election. And at that point in time, Detective Chambers, the lead investigator again, that guy, they all came to California. They managed to get a warrant that they lied about the murder weapon and stuff and everything so that they could come over here and do wiretaps and do all this stuff. And then they ended up arresting him and then prosecuting him. They had lost 50 pieces of evidence. 50 pieces. It started out as 72, but they found 22 of the pieces. Okay. But what never turned up? Fingerprints, gone. Supposed blood of the killer, gone. Many of the things that would have helped Scott at that point, 8 years later, to help prove his innocence, had all been lost and destroyed by the Fulton County DA. Fulton County Fulton County fire department had some stuff, or I think it was DeKalb County fire department had whatever it was. So all these various agencies, and that much evidence is lost, and the judge didn't even bat an eye. Didn't even bat an eye. He just was like, nope, it's fine, cool, no problem. So the Scott Davis case is an absolute freaking train wreck. And those of you who don't know much about it, I encourage you to go check out my videos on it because it's just a mess. Yes, they are. If you don't assert them, people should vote and insist on a lawyer when questioned by police. Casey has no arguments on this in her briefs. Gonna meet up with Megan on your trip? Nope. Unless she seeks me out, which I doubt she will. 70 plus pieces of missing evidence, burnt Porsche. Yeah. Well, it started out as 72, but they did actually find 22 pieces of it for trial. And so at trial, it ended up only being 50 pieces. That makes you feel better, right? It's only 50, right? Yeah, you know. Jesus. So anyways, could be I only dreamed about doing a video with the dude on AEDPA. Oh man, we need to do one then. No, I think we did do one on AEDPA though. I'm pretty sure we did. Tell them the good news about Scott's case. Thanks, Jamie. Let's see. Erekose, is there something we can do to help Scott? Also, anything we can do to prevent Megan from blocking your vids? Well, we can't stop Megan from blocking my videos, unfortunately. If I mention her and say things anything bad about her, she's going to say it's defamation and YouTube's going to block it in Australia. There's just nothing we can do about that, really. But in terms of helping Scott Davis, it might be that, I mean, really, one of the things you can do is find my Scott Davis videos and then just retweet them and share them and try to create more awareness. Try to show people a case where 50 pieces of evidence were lost, and the person that actually knew that the victim had been shot in the head while the house was still burning, that person never even got asked the question or was barely questioned. So it's like, if you want, find my Scott Davis videos and share those and try to create more awareness. The good news that Jamie Hart is referring to is that coming up in May, Scott Davis is going to be having oral arguments in the 11th Circuit Court, and that is going to be awesome. So he's, I can't wait. I really can't wait. And there is going to be audio that I'm going to be able to get my hands on, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Thank you, Denise. Thank you. It's only 50 pieces. Hold my beer. That's hilarious. You should record a video about her when you are away. Record it in Oz, upload it in the US, and blocked in Oz again. I'm going to arrange several news interviews in Oz for you. Bring your bow tie, Scottish tartan of your clan and blazer. Still a great case to follow. This is how justice is supposed to work. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, and Scott's had people working, his case. I mean, the like paralegal girl that calls and talks to Detective Walker and goes through the whole process of why it's obvious that Megan was the one who possessed the knowledge that David had been shot in the head before anybody else while the house was still burning, and she was pointing that out to Detective Walker. And Detective Walker has now given an affidavit, by the way, folks. The state of Georgia, the Fulton County DA's office, has been emphatically denying for years, okay, that there was any more than one tape of the interrogation. Scott Davis has been saying for years that there were two tapes, that they had two tapes going, and like I said, the Fulton County DA's office has been denying it for years. Well, recently, Detective Jackson, the co-lead investigator in the case, gave an affidavit to Scott's lawyers and said, yes, there were two tapes. The two tapes were given to our little transcriber. She made up two sets of transcripts to go along with the tapes. I took two tapes and two sets of transcripts to the Fulton County DA's office, gave them to Assistant District Attorney Joe Burford, and he signs an affidavit that states all of this. Okay, so now Fulton County DA's office has now been caught with their pants down because they have been lying emphatically for years that there was only one tape, and Scott was trying to say that there was two and that there was things missing. And so guess what? This tape, that second tape, is never going to turn up because there probably was something on it that favored Scott. And, you know, to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Cult leader jailed in Australia stirs international incident will be the Newsweek headline. Cult leader. Oh, Jesus. Erekose, wouldn't it be interesting to interview Megan while you're there? Or if she won't talk to you, get someone else to do it. Perhaps make Oz Press more aware while you're here. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. That also verges on the for me. That also verges on the. That's kind of on the verge of becoming a troll and doing troll like behavior. If I create awareness about Megan, then I create awareness about Megan. But am I going to go trying to harass her and like actually plan to try to get her and or trick her in some way into an interview or anything like that? Nope. Nah, not doing that. Because I think she or somebody still watches my channel, because trust me, if I do something about her, it gets blocked. So I know there's somebody got their finger on the pulse. So she'll probably know that I'm coming to Australia. If she wants to seek me out and she wants to talk to me and sit down and have a talk with me, you know, I'm going to say, you know, can we do it on camera? And we'll see if she's comfortable with that. But if she wants to come and seek me out, she can. So don't tell me this stream is anywhere near over. I just got to work so I can focus on the questions and answers. Well, unfortunately, an hour is about how long I go, especially on a weeknight. So yeah, we are going to be starting to wind it down here pretty soon. It was too hard to drive in Chicago traffic while my phone played YouTube on my center console. Flying to Japan in a couple hours. You're keeping me going. That's funny. Unfortunately, I have to get sleep tonight because I am working on a huge job right now, pre-wire, running 1,000 wires in a house, and to try to explain it to you would be ridiculous, but a lot of Cat5, a lot of data wires, a lot of speaker wire, a lot of wire all over. So it's a big house, big 3-story house, and I have to get this thing into a state of completeness quick in terms of pre-wire and in terms of rough. So it's a lot to do. So I have a big day tomorrow to get a lot accomplished. So I definitely have to get my sleep. But yeah, I have to do this. Otherwise, you know, I'm gonna have to deal with a pissy boss when I go to Australia. I don't want to deal with a pissy boss. So I'm busting my butt right now to make him feel warm and fuzzy, like I'm putting him first right now, because I guarantee you he did not want to let me off for 4 days to go to Australia. It wasn't what he wanted to do, but he has done it. He's been cool about it. So, you know, it's only fair that I go ahead and give him 110% until then, right? Fair is fair, right? There you go. See, no contact with Megan, you will end up in a burnt Porsche like Paul Walker. Oh, Jesus. Whoa. Somebody called supporters like a cult. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. Oh, you listen to Conspired, Travis? You listen to the Conspired podcast? Oh, cool. Right on. That's what they say. We were like a cult or something. Hi, Buzz Holly. Oh, thank you. Let's see here. It's not me. Don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, going in July. Yeah. Make friends with the like button, everybody. Go ahead and hit like. It helps the video get shared around more and suggested by YouTube the more likes it has. So, thank you in advance for that. Yeah, absolutely, man. Trying to give him something to be happy about because, seriously, how many of you feel like you could go into your bosses and with about 2 months notice and say, I want 4 days off in a row? So he's been real cool about it. And he respects what I'm doing here, even though I know sometimes he finds it annoying. But he's been cool about it. So he's given me a lot of respect. So I'm going to give him a lot of respect because he's been good to me. I love speaker wire and audio. What about the Cat 5, Jamie? The data wires. Those ones are fun too. Quite right. Amendment of habeas statute and the subsequent interpretation. Nothing worse than get her done, Erekose. Yeah. That means you're valuable, Erekose. See, always a pleasure and educational and a whole ton of laughs. No, you did a video on it, the duo. I actually listened to your videos. The duo? Okay. Loud and proud to be part of your cult. Not a cult. Jeez. Is your boss watching? And who the heck is Megan? My boss may be watching. Probably not, though. Probably not, but he could be. He could have got interested, and saw that while he was on YouTube, he could have seen, because he is subscribed to me. So it could pop up while he's on YouTube. It could pop up as a suggested video that I'm live. And he could get curious and pop over and see what I'm saying real quick if he wanted. But anyway. Question: when do you think Zellner will get her time at the circuit court? I can't say for sure she will. We have to get around Judge Suck. See, we got that whole hurdle of Judge Suck to deal with. Now, is Judge Suck gonna just take a flippant attitude with this as well? Remains to be seen. It's going to be interesting to see what Judge Suck does. So, anyway, it really depends on what she does. So, see, question: when do you think? Sorry, I can. My boss is like a second father. He was a guilter to start, right? Oh, my boss. My boss. Well, I wouldn't call him a guilter. He hasn't watched it. But I guess what you mean was did he have the attitude that a lot of people have in terms of, oh, well, he was found guilty, right? Well, then he must be, right? He kind of had that attitude. He has now changed that attitude in terms of Brendan. He doesn't know enough about anything to have changed his mind about Stephen yet. He knows that there's a fair amount of evidence against Stephen, and in order for me to really get him on Stephen's side, I would have to convince him. I'd have to show him and try to convince him. And he's a tough egg. He's a tough egg to crack. Like I said, it took me a long time to crack him on Brendan, but eventually, me being in his ear all that time, he just happened to be watching the Return to Manitowoc, Nightline or whatever one time when I got back to the shop, and he just happened to be watching that while he was sitting there working at his desk, and after he got done watching it, he called me. I was on my way home. He called me up and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He goes, I can't believe what they did to that kid. And I was like, oh, really? I go, really? I go, what? I go, what is it that bothered you about it? I go, what is it that got you about it? He goes, I imagined if it was like my son Dylan sitting there and those cops were doing that to him, or even my son Miles, and he was, he was thinking about his own kids being put in that situation, and that's what got him on Brendan's side. That's what, got him over that little hump or whatever. So it's interesting, but isn't that what it comes down to most of the time with Brendan is people immediately look at that and go, what if that was my kid? Or what if that was my niece or nephew? Or what if that was my, whoever, right? What if that was one of my kids' friends? What if that was one of my child's friends or something like that? Somebody that comes over all the time and something like that was to happen, and that sort of thing. It's just people think, do these officers really think it's acceptable to do what they did with Brendan? Is this happening in interrogation rooms all over the country? And it's good that Making a Murderer came out because it made that question get raised, right? So alrighty, see you later, Dustin. Cat 5, you mean fax machine cable? Well, fax machine? Dang, Jamie, you're old school, buddy. A fax machine would generally have a phone line, and that would be like Cat 3 or even more inferior wire than that sometimes. Anyway, yeah, no. Cat 5 is like what you connect your printer with or your PC with, or what you connect to an internet camera, an IP camera. Yeah, Cat 5 is data cable. Yep, I go to me and I say I want 4 days off. Well, maybe in 3 or 4 years, I will have transitioned out of what I do now, and I will have transitioned into being a full-time YouTuber, talking about criminal justice issues. Who knows where I'll be in a few years, and maybe I'll be self-employed and I'll be able to just ask the boss and then have the boss give me permission. Anyway. Stacy, what's up, Stacy? How's it going, buddy? Hey, Stacy. I couldn't find any acoustic songs tonight, by the way, buddy. I just want to let you know that. I did find them, but I had to I started the live late because I had to drill around and look and find one. So I just wanted to, I don't know if you meant to do that on purpose, but it's hard for me to find your acoustics right now. Let's see. Hair's down by sleeping on it. Your friends, the duo, say the duo say we have a cult. Actually, it was a gal that said it like a cult, and you have great ethics and morals. Who did you steal them from? Thank you so much, Martha. Check out Stacy Seabrook. Erekose, you must be made of iron steel. If I drank soda before bed, I would be skipping to work. Well, I guess I'm accustomed to the Dr. Pepper at this point. If you don't like movies and you don't like to read, then put in your earbuds and listen to Stacy Seabrook. He will tell you all about the. Yeah. Judge Suck will figure a way to stall, deny, or pass this off. No big deal. She will try, I'm sure. That's okay. COA will correct the mistakes. And that's just it. It all ends up just going right back to the Court of Appeals, folks. If no matter what Judge Suck does, it's going to go right back to the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals is then going to look at all this stuff. And if they decide that what Judge Suck did at that point, if she doesn't get replaced right now by this petition or whatever, and she ends up being the one that decides on this, when it goes back and they decide that she did wrong, then at that point they can send it to a different judge. They can decide Go away, Judge Suck. You suck. And they can send it to a different judge. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I mean, right now this appeal is looking really strong, folks. And right now this particular issue that's being remanded looks really strong. So we're looking at some really, interesting days coming for sure. There's a man I'm gonna check out on that island. Something else. Okay, yo, check my page, man. I'm a musician. Okay, we'll have to check you out, Buzz. My mom unfortunately believes brainwashed by the news media so much she thinks SA is guilty without any doubt and thinks BD meant every word. Well, sometimes some people don't really take a real critical look at things. They just prefer to have it spoon fed to them. I Google Earth them and creep in. Let's see. That's awesome, Buzz. I debate constantly with her. Like most guilters, she shuts down. Stacy Seabrook. I read Leah Kratz's girlfriend Tess. She said that this will be the end of it. That they are not worried and about the bones thing. I still wonder if they know something we don't. It's a nice place, Travis. Being a smartass about cat fiber. Oh, I see. Yeah, fax machine. Yeah. Here goes the off topic, but any thoughts on the future details, further details released about the monster Chris Watts? Sharon, unfortunately, I have not followed that case very much at all. I don't really know much about it, to be perfectly honest. I would have to look into it to have any kind of opinion about it. Let's see. They're supposed to release to the public March 7th about new details in the Chris Watts case. Then you can talk to yourself like me. I have a strange assumption that Judge Suck wears polyester. Never trust a woman wearing polyester. Stacy, you have to see the new water tower. Okay, I'll send you a link for just the acoustic playlist. Thanks, buddy. There are 62K registered voters in Sheboygan County. I think the petition is more of a protest than a true recall. Have to be a registered voter in that county to start that. Erekose, you need to look up the history of Dr. Pepper and see how many flavors are in it. Pretty cool info. Yeah, they used to put that on the can, right? Oh, it is still on there. It's 23. Let's see. The only thing they know that we don't is exactly who planted what. Yeah, exactly. YouTube page and SoundCloud, nothing MAM yet, but I'm working on it. Good for you, Buzz. I look forward to it. I subbed Buzz. Okay. Waiting for the song. Do you have any of the interest in getting involved in the David Thorne case? I kind of, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, Julie. I haven't thought about it, Pom Pom. I have my plate pretty full right now, and to be honest, guys, I'm going to be looking into another case now that Miss Georgina Stulenbos, the lady who runs the Dutch support page on Facebook, she kind of sent something my way, and I'm kind of intrigued by it, and so I'm looking into it. It's about the Singh murders, and apparently it was a gentleman here who was a Dutch native who went down for murder, and it really does look, according to many people, according to Georgina, that he really truly is innocent, and that sort of thing. So I'm probably gonna be looking into that. I know Travis wants to start looking into some other wrongful conviction cases. He has a mind to do that, and he has a few cases in mind. We're hoping to have the wrecking crew and stuff working on some stuff like this when we hit the lulls with in between court filings and stuff coming up here over the next few months and stuff. We're hoping to kind of have a couple other little wrongful conviction cases to keep busy on while we're in the lull periods. So Perplex Cutie has a lot of stuff on Chris Watts. Absolutely. She talks about Chris Watts all the time. I think she did something about Chris Watts today, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys can go check her out. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Lisa B. Get the Scotsman, the Kiwi, and yourself a couple of adult beverages on me. Awesome. I will do. Will do. Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. Leah Kratz knows something we don't. Only things about KK, and certainly don't want to picture that. That would be, don't want to picture what that would be. Let's see. Gross, Travis, visuals. I don't want to know either. I won't let you down. There's a special on Dr. Phil today. The family have been given the details and released some. Doctor has no period. Okay. Real shocker is Kratz actually has a girlfriend, wife, actually. Georgina is a sweetheart. Want to look into that case as well? Absolutely. We'll take a look at it. Sharon Sunshine, really, I thought Dr. Phil special was starting tomorrow, and it's a 2-part, unless that's the only case in my neck of the woods. Travis Williamson, Esquire, I'm definitely on board with what you have on your list. You know how to get in touch with me. Need to hit the lull. So, all right, I think we're going to wind it down now. We're going to go ahead and cut over to Stacy. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And we'll obviously see you guys again here real soon. Just wanted to talk about, Stephen and Brennan and talk about Scott today. I'm trying to talk about these bones and what's going on with these bones every chance I get, because I'm literally getting messages every day of people asking me, why aren't you doing videos about the bones? Like, what? Huh? What? So I guess I'll just keep talking about it, and eventually they'll all find them, right? Or they'll find one of them, right? Anyways. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut over to Stacy now. Thank you guys for showing up. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Please hit the like button, because it helps the video to, get more, shared around more, get suggested by YouTube even more. So if you guys hit that like button, it helps the video out in those ways. So please do. Thank you very much. And let's go for Stacy.
2 years since MAM, now here I go again, to confine innocent men in a 10 by 10. Fates, oh now the man deserves, but fear breeds silence in Manitowoc. You don't say nothing cause you know you're cops, but someone knows something, yet everyone plays ball. I say we round them all up, let's brain fingerprint them all. Everything about the case was suspicious. I hope the biting teeth of justice isn't so vicious. For those who bred the lie, they temporarily preserve. From time into Tybo's to Brendan's so-called confession, to the fact that Peterson was out of town when she went missing. How can we forget Andy Sam William Henry Call? I say we round them all up, let's brain fingerprint them all.
You're welcome, Linda.
so much planted evidence now anyone can see. The magic bullet and blood in the RAV. And even evidence that defies gravity. The key that turned up 7 searches later with none of her DNA at all. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you to all my mods for doing a great job. You guys have been doing a really great job lately. Thank you for being here and helping out.
Rank. For those who pay attention, all the unbanked stack. And those that are smiling, they always knew who would take the fall. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all.
See here.
Strange. I ain't strange. I'm sick of this world. I'm sick of suffering. Don't get strange. I'm sick of this world. I'm sick of suffering.
Don't get strange, no, I ain't getting strange. Don't get strange, I ain't getting strange. I'm sick of the suffering, can't stand the pain. Don't get strange. Well, we know the story. Oh, ain't the way they say. We can see they got you Brennan's head. Totally insane. Don't get strange. Everything they got, questionable evidence gathered by Matty Wall, but it makes such sense why they're in the game. Don't get strange. Don't get strange, no. Oh, now I ain't getting straight. Don't get straight. I ain't getting straight. And that lying, that cheating, that predatory sweat DA, anything he said, he could throw away. He's a legal stain.
Don't get strange.
Homie, we finally find out who's to blame. Don't get strange.
Don't get strange.
Alrighty, folks. We'll see ya. Thanks for coming and tuning in, and we'll see you next time.